Good morning, members. I call to order the meeting of the panel on transport. Welcome, everyone. It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. Agenda item number 1, information papers issued since the last meeting. Members, please note that since the last meeting, the Secretariat issued an information paper to members, the details of which are set out in the agenda. The paper number is CB-3378/2025-01, an information paper on Central Kowloon Route, Trunk Road T2, and Trackwalling Tunnel technical legislative amendments relating to the operation and management of newly commissioned tunnels provided by the administration. This paper briefs members on the administration's proposals on technical amendments to 2 pieces of legislation to incorporate Central Kowloon Bypass, Yamate Section Tunnel, and Kowloon Bay Section Tunnel under the management of government tunnels, maintenance, and operation. As at a specified deadline on 28th of March this year, no member has raised any comments. The administration plans to submit the amendments to the relevant pieces of subsidiary legislation in the first half of this year for negative vetting. Alright, moving on to the next agenda item, schedule of meetings for the remainder of the 2025 session. I suggest that for the remaining sessions of this year, we will go with our arrangements that have been set out to hold regular meetings at 10:45 in the morning every third Friday of each month. And the regular meeting in October will be held earlier on 10th of October. If members agree, please refer to the proposed schedule of meetings tabled before you. Moving on to the third agenda item, items for discussion at the next meeting. Members, please refer to the list of outstanding items for discussion, LC paper number CB-3542/2025-01, and the list of follow-up actions. That is LC paper number CB-3542/2025-02. The next regular meeting will be held between 10:45 and 12:45 on 16th of May, a Friday. The administration proposes to discuss the 2 following items: 1, action plan to enhance the maintenance strategies of public roads, and 2, replacement or renewal of traffic control and surveillance systems as strategic roads. If members have no objections, we will discuss the 2 items at the next meeting. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item. Agenda item number 4, MTR fare adjustment for 2025 and adjustment of airport express fares. I will now invite the staff members of the council to invite representatives of the administration and the MTR Corporation to come inside the conference room. I ask members to refer to the paper provided by the administration, LC paper number CB-3542/2025-03 and 04, a background brief prepared by the LegCo Secretariat. I will now welcome the team. That is Mr. Kirk Yip, Deputy Secretary for Transport Logistics 2, Ms. Emily Principal Assistant Secretary for Transport Logistics 4 from the Transport and Logistics Bureau, Ms. Jenny Young, Managing Director, Hong Kong Transport Services of the MTRC, Ms. Diane Chu, General Manager, Marketing and Revenue Management of the MTRC, Ms. Annie Leung, General Manager, Marketing and Customer Experience, MTRC, and Ms. Anthea Koo, General Manager, Corporate Relations, MTRC. Welcome, everyone. I will now ask representatives of the administration to give an introduction. I believe a PowerPoint presentation will also be given. Please be brief, and then I'll open the floor for members to ask questions. Members who would like to ask questions, please press the request to speak button. I can see that we have right now 11 members who would like to speak. Depending on the circumstances later, I will assign a time limit. Mr. Kurt Yip, please. Thank you. Good morning, members. Together with representatives of the MTRC, we will brief members on the findings of the Fare Adjustment Mechanism FAM, and we would like to consult members on the fare adjustment of MTR fares as well as adjustment of airport express fares. Since the rail merger, the fare adjustment mechanism adopts a direct drive formula which takes into account objective figures in determining fare adjustment levels annually. The mechanism also included the affordability cap arrangement, whereby any effective fare adjustment rate should not be higher than the year-on-year change in median monthly household income in the corresponding period. Since 2023, we have made some changes. We have tried to strike a balance between affordability and financial sustainability of the operations of the MTRC. We have the change for this year calculated as plus 1.45%. Because it falls within the range of plus or minus 1.5%, the MTR controlled fares this year will remain unchanged. It will be rolled over to be included in the fare adjustment for the following year, that is 2026. The affordability cap arrangement will continue to be in place in the coming year and throughout the remaining FAM cycle to ensure that the overall adjustment rate each year can address public affordability. The MTRC has all along reviewed from time to time and offered passengers with various fare promotions and ongoing concessions to give back to the community and to alleviate the burden of fares on passengers. The adjustment of fare has taken into account various factors, including maintenance of railway assets as well as affordability on passengers. The fare adjustment does not include fares of Airport Express, so Airport Express fares have not been automatically adjusted with reference to the objective factors in the fare adjustment mechanism. And in fact, Airport Express fares were last adjusted in 2017, and the cumulative inflation in this period is 13.7%. Having regard to the need for maintenance of railway assets and operating costs, etc., the MTRC proposes to increase Airport Express fares by 9.4%. So the fares will be increased from $5 to $10 from the in-town stations to the airport. I believe right now the proposals has struck a balance between maintaining competitiveness and addressing the needs of various stakeholders. I will now ask representatives of the MTRC to give a PowerPoint presentation. Later on, representatives of the MTRC and we are more than willing to take questions from members. Thank you. All right, Ms. Jenny Young, Managing Director, please. Thank you. As said by the Deputy Secretary, we have all along adopted a direct drive formula that has taken into account various factors, including affordability of the public, and we have reached a conclusion that we will have MTR controlled fares remain unchanged this year. This mechanism has worked effectively so far. As said before, the adjustment rate calculated by the formula for this year is plus 1.55%, as it falls within the range of plus or minus 1.5%. The MTR controlled fares this year will remain unchanged, and this adjustment rate this year will be rolled over to be included in the fare adjustment for the following year, 2026. while there is a freeze in the fare adjustment rate, essentially, in order to ensure customer needs are taken into account, we will continue to have various fare promotions and ongoing concessions. They would include City Saver early bird discount as well as interchange discounts. We also have the student travel concessions as well as elderly concessions. In fact, last year we had $3.1 billion for the concessions. And in fact, for our adjustment mechanism since 2017, we had on 5 occasions frozen or even decreased our fares. So it is just approximately 60% of the cumulative inflation for the period with the increase in fares. But let's not forget also we have included in the mechanism the affordability cap arrangement, whereby any effective fare adjustment rate should not be higher than the year-on-year change in median monthly household income. So looking from a macro perspective, since the rail merger, the annual change in fare is lower than the year-on-year inflation. As we are making more investment in railway assets, we are also faced with an increase in operating costs. And you can see here the year-on-year fare adjustment is actually lower than our year-on-year increase in operating costs. You can see here the red line showing our investment in recent years. And we have invested $65 billion in maintenance as well as upgrading of our assets. And you have seen the annual costs increasing. In 2012, it's just $5 billion. But in 2024, we have invested over 10 billion years alone in that year. So that is double the amount. We have spent roughly 10% on our operating costs. But then, let me say this, we have not seen our passenger throughput reaching pre-pandemic levels still. Especially for Airport Express. Airport Express is a high-quality service that provides seamless connections for passengers traveling between the airport and the urban areas. And in fact, from Hong Kong Station to airport, it takes only 24 minutes. It is the fastest connection between the airport and Central, and we have a punctuality rate of 99.9%. For people taking the Airport Express, they do not have to be concerned about traffic or any sudden incidents that may disrupt their plans. Since 2017, that was our first time making adjustments to fares since the 20-odd years that the Airport Express has been commissioned. Since 2017, we have faced various increases in factor input, that is, say, for power costs and other manpower costs. And the cumulative inflation between 2017 and now is 13.8%. And in fact, power costs has increased since 2017 for 27%. We haven't made any adjustments in the fares for Airport Express, and during the pandemic we have faced immense challenges with our passenger throughput at record low, and we have faced since the pandemic competition from other public transportation options. We have seen a recovery in number of passengers, but it has only reached approximately 70% of the pre-pandemic level. We face multiple challenges, but we have continued to invest resources in upgrading our services to provide high quality services. We now have some self backdrop counters and check-in kiosks. We also have now rental services of power chargers. We also have a smart ambassador Tracy to respond to inquiries from passengers. We now also provide free Wi-Fi as well as charging equipment on Airport Express trains. We have also replaced our seat covers and carpets so as to make sure the facilities look new. We will continue to invest in railway assets. We have invested $2 billion. We have our plans to invest more in this, and in fact we need to make sure we have facilities that would tie in with the commissioning of Terminal 2 of the airport. We also plan to replace the entry-exit gates and support more payment methods to support the needs of passengers. We are also now reaching the end of life cycle of trains. We are planning to acquire more trains to replace current trains.
To ensure that there is sustainable revenue to meet the operating cost and investment to renew our assets, we have taken into account a basket of factors, and we have come up with a proposed fare adjustment for the Airport Express fares so that we can maintain our service level. Overall speaking, we propose to increase the fare by 9.4%. That is lower than the year-on-year inflation at the same period, which is 13.4%. The proposed adult fares for Octopus will be increased by $5 to $10, single journey ticket 10 to 15%. From airport to Asia World Expo, airport fare for Octopus single journey ticket will be increased by $1. Asia World Expo special same-day return for Octopus will be increased by $8 to $10. In-town stations to airport round-trip tickets valid for 30 days will be increased by $10. Airport workers' fares will remain unchanged. Our proposed fare adjustment will not affect our workers who work at the airport. For adult fare going from Hong Kong to airport, the proposed new fares will be $120, Kowloon to airport $105, Jingyi to airport $73. If people make use of Octopus, they can connect or make use of the Airport Express free of charge if they interchange from other train stations. So there will be free connection service for MTR users. If people go from Mong Kok to Jingyi and go to the airport via Airport Express, then they will only have to pay $73. If they return on the same day, then their return trip will be free of charge. So if they go from Mongkok to the airport and then from airport to Mongkok, then they will have to pay only $73 in total. In the coming summer and Christmas, we're going to offer free rides for children. We are offering the same discount for children during the Easter holidays to cater to the needs of family. And the Airport Express group ticket price will remain unchanged for half a year. I've talked about the discount for parking transfer, Airport Express taxi interchange offer. We'll continue to offer fare discount for Asia World Expo Station when there are special events. We have been collaborating with the travel industry to expand the passenger base. We thank the trade for their support so that more visitors will make use of the Airport Express. We have been offering discounts, partnering with different airlines companies. We also work with different payment partners to offer ticket packages so that more people will choose Airport Express. We're going to offer discounted tickets, ticket packages for social media and online travel agents. In order to have more locals and visitors to make use of Airport Express, and to make their journey better, we have been rolling out themed trains, including Giant Panda and Doraemon themed trains to improve their experience. The satisfactory of customers has been high towards Airport Express. The service quality index has been over 80 for quite a long time. Before we decided on the fare adjustment, we have conducted a passenger survey to understand the passengers' acceptance of various fare adjustment for the Airport Express. According to the survey, in the third quarter last year, over half of the respondents considered an overall fare increase of 10% for the Express acceptable. We continue to maintain close liaison with the trade to garner their understanding. Construction, operating, and maintenance of a railway involve tremendous investment. It may be the investment that we put into operating and maintaining the railway could be larger than the initial investment. Ticket revenue is therefore important to keep the service up to date and to maintain our financial sustainability. That's why we have to adjust our fare from time to time. Airport Express, as the major transport tools connecting the urban area and the airport, we think that the fare adjustment after 8 years' time is fair. We will continue to maintain our fare affordable so that our railways can create values and return to the community and to offer a safe, reliable, and high-quality railway service to the people. That's all for my presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Yun, for your detailed presentation. Before we go into the Q&A session, as both this item and the next item have to do with transport, I believe that many members are concerned about these two items. If necessary, I may extend the meeting. I see that 16 members have already pressed the button to speak. I will read out their names. Each member will have 4 minutes, including question and answer. Mr. Yu Paklan, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Dominic Lee, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Lam Man Kwong, Ms. Jovi Chan, Mr. Chan Pui Lam, Mr. Chao Su Chong, Mrs. Regina Ip, Mr. Yim Kom, Ms. Chan Hock Fong, Mr. Fanky Yik, Mr. Michael Tim, Mr. Lokung Chong, Mr. Gary Zhang, and Mr. Chan Han Pan. Please observe the time limit because I have to control the time. Please be succinct and leave some time for the government or the MTRC to respond. Mr. Yu Paklan. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I am concerned about the fare increase for Airport Express. We have a world-class airport and a world-class Airport Express to offer convenience to the people so that they can commute from the urban area to the airport very conveniently. After the pandemic, or since the commissioning of the Tumun Cheklapkot link or the Qingyi Bridge being made free of charge, we've seen a change in the point-to-point transport service. The type of passengers using Airport Express has changed. I know that the MTRCL need to increase the fares, and that's because they want to make more investment in replacing their trains to maintain their service. I completely support that. But the tourism industry is very concerned about how it can make better use of the Express. We've been talking to the MTRC and we want more collaboration. We want the airlines companies and the hotels to work with Airport Express to, say, offer feeder service to go from the hotel to the Airport Express stations. I have to declare interest. My company also works with the MTRC. We have been working with them to promote the Airport Express service. We all want to make the best use of the Express to offer a better experience for our passengers. This is important for the development of the tourism industry in Hong Kong. So my question for the MTRC is, well, you said that over half of the respondents of your survey consider an overall fare increase of 10% acceptable. So how many percent of these are locals? How many percent of these are visitors? We need to know what our source of passengers is for the Airport Express. I believe that the elasticity of demand between locals and visitors are different. As I said, do you have any plan to further collaborate with the trade to make better use of the Airport Express? Thank you. A source of passengers and cross-disciplinary collaboration. Ms. Yan? Thank you. Allow me to take the question. There are 50% of locals and 50% of visitors making use of the Airport Express. The passenger mix is very complicated. We have business travelers, we have leisure travelers, locals, foreign visitors. We will promote our Airport Express in emerging markets. We'll work with travel agencies and airline operators because visitors are more likely to use Airport Express We will work on the feeder bus service. We have been talking to hotels. We may try to incentivize hotels to offer feeder service between their hotels and the airport express stations. According to our analysis and experience, despite lowering the fares, not many visitors would make use of Airport Express because the stations are not that accessible. So we will continue to work with airline operators and different platforms. We hope that more operators will open a counter at the in-town check-in counter. Thank you.
Next to speak, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Chair. I would say this. We need to have regard to the financial sustainability of the operations of the MTRC, and I believe the fare increases play into this. We do have some long-term plans, it seems, but whether the cost is entirely borne by the MTRC is another story. We also need to have regard to some demographic considerations. We will see a higher passenger throughput, it seems, but then it will also increase the operating costs of the MTRC. On financial viability, have you made some short and long-term projections? And I'm not talking about projections for investment, but for your operations specifically. The MTRC shared with us some figures, such as some costs on maintenance and repairs. I have compared this to some of the financial information published 1 or 2 months ago. In the overall cost, in the published figures of the MTRC, it seems that over half of the cost is on salaries and related expenditure for staff members. The year-on-year increase from 2023 is 10%, but the cost on repairs and maintenance does not see as significant of a year-on-year increase. I understand you need to maintain high-quality services, but when financial management, have you conducted internal reviews? Otherwise, how can you convince the increase in fares? Most of the sum would actually go into enhancing the quality of the services rather than just increasing the salaries of the staff members. Thank you. All right, Ms. Jenny Young, whether you have made short and long-term projections and your plans for manpower costs in future. Thank you, Chair. We do project some growth in passenger throughput. We hope that in 2028 and 29, we will be able to achieve break-even for airport express services. Afterwards, we hope to make a profit, of course. As for the overall cost, indeed, staff members' salaries take up a large part of the cost. While we do face difficulties in recent years, we face shortage in manpower, which is why we need to make sure we attract the right talents. And in fact, we have increased manpower in repairs and maintenance as well. So there is an increase in manpower costs. We have not had a significant increase in the cost for repairs and maintenance because we have outsourced part of the work. And when we formulate agreements and plans for repairs and maintenance, we try to optimize the relevant repairs and maintenance. Thank you. Mr. Dominic Lee, if we have been to other places, Hong Kong's railway services definitely feel great, or even maybe the best. We have seen many different innovative services. We have more connections with the community on the part of the NTRC. We have also lowered the incident rate and thus resulting in a higher punctuality rate. I think most would support your proposals, but there are some concerns raised in relation to the increase in airport express fares. You quoted one of the justifications being the passenger throughput of airport express only reaching 70% of the pre-pandemic level. But when we look at some data published by airlines, their passenger throughput has bounced back to over 70% of the pre-pandemic level. So is it the case that the passengers now opt for other options? If you increase fares further, would it in turn decrease your passenger throughput of the airport express even more? I'm thinking if you should provide more concessions for frequent users of the airport express service, or would you have more family concessions to encourage families to take advantage of the service? Considering there is an increase in cost, would you consider using technology such as AI to lower costs so that you won't need to increase fares of Airport Express any further? All right, Miss Jenny Young. All right, I'll give a brief response, and then I'll ask Miss Annie Leung to supplement my answers. Indeed, we have been trying to make use of technologies, including AI, to control costs and to ensure sustainability of our operations. I'll now ask Miss Annie Leung to supplement my answers. The Airport Express service has all along had many different fare promotions and ongoing fare concessions. In the face of an imminent increase in fares, we will try to put in place more fare concessions. For, say, group ticket fare, we will hold the fare unchanged in the next 6 months so that there will be a discount for users, and it can be 40% off for most parties. We will also have, during the holidays, free rides for children to provide more incentives for families to make use of such services. We also have various interchange offers with taxis as well as other forms of transport. We also have some parking offers. We hope to come up with more concessions to encourage citizens to, or other users to, make use of Airport Express. How are they going to control costs, Chair? Well, we are making use of the virtual travel ambassador Tracy to help us provide some inquiry services, and we will continue to see how we can make use of technologies to control costs. Thank you. Dr. Loy Kwok. Thank you. So the fare adjustment mechanism has the adjustment rate of plus 1.45% derived, and in accordance with the mechanism, as the adjustment rate falls within the range of plus or minus 1.5%, the MTR controlled fares this year will remain unchanged. Why is the adjustment rate relatively low this year? It is because it seems the productivity factor this year is 0.8%. So what this means is, for the Hong Kong property development profit of the MTRC reaching over $10 billion. So with this linkage, there is a productivity factor of 0.8%. I would say this. It shows that the Railway Plus property development model is quite successful in Hong Kong. I'm not sure if the government would have other plans in future, but it seems that for some of the near future projects, there are some projects that would adopt the Rail Plus property model, and I'm hoping the projects in the Northern Metropolis can adopt this same model that can really help with financing of the projects. On Airport Express, I understand the need to increase the fares with reference to cumulative inflation. And indeed, we have seen an increase in operating costs. But then I am concerned with the increase in fares, we will actually have a lower passenger throughput in the end. And you're saying that you've conducted such surveys, and over half of the respondents said that they could accept the increase in fares. Well, people may say that, but you face competition. What kind of competition is there? We haven't reached the full capacity of the free one-way system, Chair, but we have seen a congestion caused by private cars and taxis. For tourists and citizens, they have made use of hail car services now a lot more than before. I'm not sure if others have the same observations. I think the MTRC must take this into account. With Terminal 2 commissioned, I believe we should have less congestion. Let me also declare that I am a board member of the Airport Authority, but of course I'm not speaking from the perspective of the MTRC. I think with airport operations, we need to consider the overall cost as part of a bigger picture. We need to consider not only airport express fares, we also need to consider, say, whether there are some airline offers or some packages with airlines and hotels. I think in future the MTRC should look into more opportunities with partners. All right, Ms. Jenny Young, please answer the members' questions on how to encourage more people to take advantage of the Airport Express service. Thank you. It is indeed what we're doing because we do not have similar services in other places that would provide direct connections like we do between the airport and the urban area. So we have been able to provide a very good experience for passengers. And I think one of the issues we face at the moment is that we do not provide direct connections. And we have therefore provided a taxi interchange offer. We have been actually encouraging visitors to take advantage of this offer in urban areas so that we will have less of a congestion. Mr. Lam and Kong.
Thank you. We don't see that many Airport Express stations located inside the arrival hall. So the connections offered by the Airport Express is world-class, and I'm satisfied with that. But how can we attract more visitors to make use of the service? This is what we should work on. For the in-town check-in service, the number of airline operators offering such service is not that many. So I think that we should increase that. Many young people don't carry luggage when they go to travel, so they don't need back drop-off counters. So if we can offer, say, simple check-in kiosks at airport express stations, then they can check in early and perhaps shop in the malls in the Kowloon stations before they take the airport express to the airport. I think that this will allow more young foreign visitors and locals to make use of the service. So I'd like to know if the MTRCL is working with the airline operators on that. Also, we should attract visitors going from the Express Rail Link or Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge to the airport, making use of Airport Express. I think that we should attract different types of passengers to make use of Airport Express. Thank you. The same concern, Ms. Young, on how we can attract more visitors to make use of the Airport Express. Thank you. Regarding the connection between the Airport Express and the Express Rail Link or high-speed rail link, I will ask my colleague to elaborate on the in-town check-in service. We have been working with the airline operators on that to increase the number of counters. We will continue to work with them. Hopefully, more airline operators will set up a counter. Ms. Ling, thank you. Many Express Rail Link passengers need to go to the airport to fly to some other areas. We will continue to work on it. At the Express Rail Link stations, we have a self or automated ticket purchase counters. After passengers have arrived at Hong Kong, they can purchase Airport Express tickets at the counters. It's easy for them to follow our routes to reach the Kowloon station and make use of in-town check-in service and drop off their bag at those counters and take the Airport Express to go to the airport. We'll make use of technology to further connect the Express Rail Link and the airport to make things more convenient for the people. Thank you. Mr. Lemon Kwong, any follow-up questions? Ms. Jovi Chan, please. Thank you, Chairman. In the presentation, the MTRC said that they have conducted a passenger survey, and they said that the customers are satisfied with the service. I agree with that. In the presentation, the MTRC representative said that over half of the respondents considered an overall fare increase of 10% acceptable. I wonder if that's a mandatory question to answer. Did you put the question in such a way that people have to choose between an increase of fare of 10%, 20%, or 30%? Because the fare increase is higher than the inflation rate, I don't think that the people will support it. I wonder how the survey was being conducted. According to the 2023 fare adjustment mechanism, the range of plus or minus 1.5% has not reached. That's why the fares will be frozen within this year. But the cumulative adjustment rate is some 3.41%. I wonder if the MTRC will set an effective period for the adjustment rate or set a cap for the adjustment rate. According to paragraph 10 of the paper, it is said that the FAM is not applicable to the Airport Express fares. Now you're trying to increase the fares by almost 10%. Why do you not include the Airport Express fare adjustment in the FAM? Ms. Yuan, please. In 2023, I mean. I will take the question and then I will ask Ms. Chiu to talk about how the survey was being conducted. The nature of Airport Express is very different from other routes. It's not for daily commute. That's why it has not been included in the FAM. The member asked if we will set an effective period for the fare adjustment. We think that by imposing a cap, we have taken into account the affordability of the people. Our rate of increase of fares has always been lower than the inflation rate. We think that our formula is acceptable. If we do away with the cumulative adjustment rate, that will affect our financial sustainability. A small percentage can have long-term implications to the finance of our company. We already have a productivity cap. That is our affordability cap. I'll ask Ms. Chiu to talk about the survey. We conduct a survey in the community before we propose any fare adjustment. We have made use of the same methodology in 2017. In Q3 last year, we have surveyed over 1,000 passengers, including locals and foreign visitors. We've talked about the acceptability. Over 50% of respondents consider an increase of 10% of fares acceptable. For foreign visitors, if they compare the fares of Airport Express in Hong Kong to that of other countries, there's high value for money in terms of the kind of service at the Airport Express. The survey is very representative because we've surveyed over 1,000 people. Mr. Chen Pui-lan. Thank you. I would also like to talk about Airport Express. In 2024, the passenger throughput amount to 53 million. There is an increase of 34%. The passenger throughput have rebounded to around 70% of pre-pandemic levels. The passenger throughput of Airport Express and the airport should be different because some people arriving at the airport may make use of other mode of transport. So I wonder if the MTRCL has conducted any independent survey on where the visitors gone. Have they made use of, say, bus to reach the urban area or other mode of transport? Will you conduct such an analysis or survey? So that you can compare yourselves with your competitors and formulate strategies to draw these passengers back. Second, the in-town check-in service. The MTRC just now said that they are working on increasing the number of counters. If you offer more counters at the in-town check-in stations, then there will be more passengers make use of the Airport Express. I think that only 2 airline operators have counters at Kowloon Station. I hope that more operators will join in. Lastly, on group ticket, will you be able to offer more discount? For 3 people taking Airport Express together, the fares is the same as taking the taxi because, well, taxi offer point-to-point service, but if you don't live near the Airport Express, you have to take a taxi to the Airport Express stations. So I think that you should offer a further discount with your group ticket. By that, more families will make use of the Airport Express. Thank you. 3 questions. Ms. Yuan. Let me first talk about the competition, and then Ms. Yuan will talk about the group ticket. We offer a comprehensive bus service. Our toll charges is low. Bus offer point-to-point service. Many passengers do opt for bus, so our market share has lowered. On in-town check-in service, we'll work on it. I have talked to airline operators and their handling agents in person. I know that they are faced with immense challenge. We will try to persuade more airline operators to open an counter to offer in-town check-in service. Ms. Leung, thank you. We will keep the Airport Express group ticket unchanged for half a year, despite the fare increase for Airport Express. Thus, while in turn, group ticket users will enjoy a 40% discount. We'll look into the competitiveness of our fares to make any further adjustment in the future. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chao Xiu-chong. Thank you. I support the MTRC's move to freeze the fares, but I have 2 comments. First, the 1.45% fare adjustment will be rolled over to the following year. As Ms. Jovi Chen said, the cumulative fare adjustment is 3.41% next year. The fare may not increase this year, but in the following year, there may be a substantial increase in the fares. I hope that the MTRC will look into this factor in the next review of the FAM. Second, on the productivity factor adjustment. I thank the MTRC for taking on board members' view by including the Hong Kong property development profit into the productivity factor. But the decrease is not significant. The profit of property development of the MTRC is some $12 billion. But the decrease in percentage is some 0.2% only. So some 20 cents of a $10 fare. That's insignificant. Five years later, 4 years later, when we review the FAM, I hope that we will further adjust the productivity factor. At the same time, I hope that the MTRC will roll out more discounts and fare promotions. Second, on the fare increase for Airport Express, will there be fewer passengers because of the fare increase? By improving the connections, by lowering the fares, will we be able to increase the passenger throughput? Second, the discount that you offer for your airport workers, will you increase the discount to encourage more people to work in the airport? Thank you. Mr. Ip, please talk about the FAM, and then Ms. Yuan will talk about the other questions.
Thank you. members for your feedback. We will continue to listen to your feedback on the fare adjustment mechanism. We constantly review such feedback. I would say this, the fare adjustment mechanism has an affordability cap arrangement, so this would act as a gatekeeper. Even if we are to roll over the adjustment rate for this year to next year, we will make sure it will not exceed the median monthly household income change. Yes, Miss Jenny Young. The productivity factor is 0.8. It may not sound like a lot, but then for the MTRC business, that would already mean for $8 billion. So it is not insignificant at all. For Airport Express, it may be the case that for some passengers, they do not have convenient connections. For example, they may not be located close to any of the in-town stations. I think we should adopt a more targeted approach to attract those who would want to make use of Airport Express, to have them take the Airport Express. Will workers' fares be affected? No, the airport workers' fares will not be affected by this increase. Thank you. Mrs. Regina Ip. Actually, recently, the Time Out magazine selected Hong Kong as the best city in terms of transport connections. I think this is the second time that Hong Kong was ranked best. And I think Airport Express does play a role providing a good experience to passengers. I think I understand where the MTRC is coming from, but I don't think it is the right timing. It gives off the wrong impression. So I want to ask, why adjust the fares only 8 years from 2017? And for Airport Express fares, they are not governed by a direct drive formula. So when will you next adjust the fares for Airport Express, and what factors will you consider? Thank you. I will first ask Mr. Kirk Yip to provide a response, and then I'll ask Ms. Jenny Young to say when Airport Express fares will be adjusted and why it took so long for the fares to be adjusted since 2017. Thank you. Mr. Yip. Thank you. Airport Express fares are excluded from the fare adjustment mechanism, so they are not governed by a direct drive formula. This is with reference to the fact that Airport Express is somewhat different from the heavy rail system. So we need to have regard to other factors. Say, Airport Express was making a profit before, so there is no particular need for an upward adjustment to be made to the fares. So this is what we have under the operating agreement. So you do not have a review mechanism when you will next adjust the fares and what factors are to be considered. Well, we do have under the operating agreement, should the MTRC propose fares, they need to go through some procedures. They need to consult the Legislative Council. They need to consult the Transport Advisory Committee. They also need to have regard to several factors, including affordability of the public. Thank you. I think Mr. Yip's response to Mrs. Regina Ip's question was that you would review the proposal submitted by the MTRC after they have submitted the proposal to you, right? But can't the government take a more proactive stance? The speaker's microphone is not on. We do have oversight over MTRC's operations in this regard. But I think we need to make sure the premise is that the MTRC goes from their perspective in terms of operations. So we will conduct reviews from time to time, if necessary, of our mechanism and procedures. Thank you. Ms. Jenny Young, please answer the questions of Mrs. Regina Ip. Thank you. We do provide good quality services, but we face fierce competition. I think we need to go from a sustainability perspective. If we can meet our costs, we try not to adjust our fares. So we are essentially driven by the fact that we do see some costs or concern in terms of operations, so we're proposing an adjustment. We do not wish to disrupt the industry and citizens' traveling plans frequently, so we plan to adjust fares every few years essentially. But as I said earlier, we do see a need to adjust fares at this juncture, so we are proposing a fare adjustment. Thank you. Mr. Yim Kong, I think the Airport Express or the MTRC in general provides world-class services, and I think many of us do appreciate the services of the MTRC, but we do see a wider coverage of buses and held car services. The MTRC does face fierce competition. We have seen the passenger throughput more or less at the same level, but then we do see a significant increase in operating costs, say manpower costs as well as maintenance costs. And these are not necessarily linked to the number of passengers, especially with the fixed costs. I think we should focus on increasing capacity, in fact, so as to increase revenue. In fact, from observations, we see the loading of the MTRC more or less at a level of 30 to 40%. Can the MTR disclose some figures on the loading of MTRC services, especially for the Airport Express? So say for buses from Hong Kong Island to the airport, it would not exceed $50, but it would take long. The Airport Express does have an advantage in providing quick services. But then if people have to take other trains before they transfer to the Airport Express, the time needed may be eventually equivalent to bus services. As other members said, I think there is concern whether the increase in Airport Express fares would lead to a drop in patronage. I want to ask if the MTRC has done some estimates, say for the next 5 years with the increase in fares. What will happen to the passenger throughput? If there is a 10% increase in fares, if you will actually have a decrease in revenue, is that really worth it? Honestly, I think this is a zero-sum game in a way. You do see some concessions increasing passenger patronage, so I think vice versa that will be the case. So would you consider what your plans are? Well, due to time constraints, I will be brief for my second question. For the Asia World Expo, we are now trying to develop the mega event economy. Would you have more offers when there are events at the Asia World Expo? Thank you. Ms. Jenny Young. Thank you. I'll provide a brief response. On the increase in fares, on our impact of profit, we have seen in past experience, while there is a slight drop in patronage, we do see a general increase in revenue. And as I said earlier, in 2028-29, we should be able to achieve break even. For Asia World Expo offers, we do have, in general, packages with event tickets to provide concessionary fares to those making use of the Airport Express to get to the Asia World Expo. Excuse me. For the interest of time management, we have 6 other members who would like to speak on this item. I will, after Mr. Chan Hock Feng has spoken, draw the line. For the other members, unfortunately, I will not allow for a second round. Mr. Chan Hock Feng, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think the Airport Express service does face certain constraints because it mainly serves locals and visitors going from the west of Hong Kong. So say those in Kowloon East or Hong Kong Island East, they may not be able to take advantage of this service. But I do note most of the users of Airport Express are business visitors. I think the MTRC does not take into account that there is fierce competition. Say hire or hailed car services, which business visitors would most likely take advantage of. With the increase in fares, I think it is very likely that it would decrease revenue. I think if you reach full capacity and you cannot meet your costs, then you are justified to increase in fares. But right now you face a low loading. So I don't really understand why you're increasing the fares. Instead, I think you should be decreasing the fares. You are trying to serve business visitors or business passengers. Shouldn't you work with some companies or organizations to provide annual tickets? And when the companies purchase in batches Airport Express tickets, you can provide them with a discount. Instead of just relying on the traditional model of having individual passengers purchasing Airport Express tickets themselves, I think in future we do have more exhibitions. So why don't you work with the tourism board to try to attract more of the business visitors? I think you shouldn't focus on families, because families are unlikely to take advantage of the Airport Express service when there are no direct connections. I think you should focus on the group of business visitors. All right, Ms. Young, how can you better attract business visitors? Thank you. We are actually working in this direction for large-scale exhibitions. We have been working with the Asia World Expo to have more offers. We have also been working with some companies to try to attract regular users of the Airport Express service. We may have seen a drop in market share, but it is more or less on the same level. It is because we have done more to attract visitors or different groups to make use of the service. Well, I have another comment. I would say this. I haven't taken the Airport Express for a long time. I'm not sure if the compartments are still making use of velvet seats. For business visitors, they think this is very dirty. They do not like this. I think to attract business visitors, you need to change the seats. In fact, in 2022, during the pandemic, we have replaced the seats. I think they're in good condition now, the seats. Thank you, Mr. Frankie Yip.
好多位
Thank you, Chairman. Many members are concerned if you will see fewer passengers with the fare increase and you're faced with fierce competition. With a group of more than 2, they would definitely take bus instead of Airport Express. So I think that you should comprehensively review your operation. What I'd like to say today is about FAM. I'm looking at paragraph 9 of the paper. You said that the productivity factor will only take into account the proceeds from the sale of a property instead of leasing. And you said that because leasing of property is more volatile, that's why you don't include that in the productivity factor. However, you have to conduct a valuation of property evaluation every year. That has nothing to do with your operation. That's just about the valuation of your property. But if I read the report, I find out that your income coming from leasing is more stable than your sale of property. I don't agree with your saying that the revenues generated from property leasing is more fluctuated and more volatile. Second, apart from capital investment, the major expenditure of the MTRC is staff remuneration. You've been talking about the 2-hour golden period for maintenance. I think that's not sustainable. You have to expand your team indefinitely in order to meet your maintenance needs. If you have only 2 hours in the evening to do repair and maintenance, you're faced with a very serious challenge. Recently, you have suspended service for longer hours to maintain and repair your trains. I think that's the direction that you will take. 2 questions. The first one, perhaps Mr. Yip will take it. Second, about the golden 2 hours and the manpower cost. Mr. Yip. Thank you, Chairman. When we review our FAM formula, we will see if there is room for further adjustment. We think that by including the property development profits in the formula, that will be easier to understand and that will make the fare adjustment more stable. Chairman, in the coming 5 years, if you don't have any new property, then the affordability cap will be 0%. The revenue generated by property leasing should be more stable, so you should include that in your formula instead. Mr. Yip, please look into it after the meeting and take into this factor in your next review. Ms. Yang, thank you. We thank you all for your support. We will lengthen our maintenance and repair hours. For major escalators and lift maintenance, we start it at 11 p.m. instead of after the train has been suspended. Thank you. Next, Mr. Michael Tian. Thank you, Chairman. All along, I think that we should apply the FAM to all public transport fare adjustment. The mechanism is transparent and fair. Bus taxis don't increase their fares in a number of years because they are afraid of lashback from the people. For the MTRC, they have a formula and they make adjustment every year. That's why the adjustment per year is not that substantial. From 2017 to this year, the fare adjustment rate is 1.66% on average, and that's lower than the inflation rate that is 1.8% on average. This shows that the FAM formula is reasonable. The actual fare increase to be paid by the people is just 1.24%. That's because of your affordability cap. So the fare increase to be paid by the people is 70% lower than the inflation rate. I hope that the same formula will be applied to bus service. I think that we should apply the FAM formula to all types of public transport in Hong Kong. I think that the government has done well in this regard. For the suggestions to cancel the adjustment rate having to roll over, as the average adjustment rate is already lower than the inflation rate, I think that we should allow the MTRC to have their adjustment rate rolled over. In the formula, the government only take into account the productivity factor, the property development profits. However, they don't take into account other revenue, such as advertisements, property leasing, so on and so forth. The government should not only include the property development profits. There is only a extra 0.1% reduction for an extra $5 billion of revenue. I think that there should be a cap. I think that the percentage or the rate should be reduced by 0.3% instead of 0.2% because they earn more than $15 billion this year. I also support the fare increase for Airport Express because the increase is just 70% of the inflation rate over the same period. However, I think that we should freeze the fares between the Asia World Expo and airport. By increasing the fares to $125, well, I think that we should keep the fares between Asia World Expo and airport at $80. For a single journey from Asia World Expo to airport is $40. I don't think that we should increase the fare. We should freeze it until the fare is as high as that of Tung Chung to airport. That is about $20. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion. We understand that people are concerned about the fare adjustment. A principle of public transport fare adjustment is people's affordability and to balance the revenue and the efficiency of the transport. Ms. Yuan, anything to add? Thank you. When we review the FAM next time, we will look into the factors. The 0.1% may seem low, but that has a significant impact on the revenue of the company. That's as high as $1 billion. We hear your views on the Asia World Expo station. I asked you to freeze the fares between Asia World Expo and airport. Thank you for your suggestion. Mr. Luk Chung-hong. Thank you, Chairman. Members are concerned about adjustment rate being rolled over. The cumulative rate is 3.41%. With the affordability cap, the adjustment rate to be rolled over can only be used when the rate of increase is lower than the median household income rate of change. However, if we continue to roll these adjustment rates over, then the next increase may be very significant. With the substantial profit of the MTRC, I hope that we will, say, set a cap on the cumulative adjustment rate of, say, 5%, because I'm afraid that the next increase may be 10%. I think that we should improve the mechanism. Second, on the service performance rebate, when there's delays, when the MCRC accumulate the rebate of $25 million, they have to offer free rides on Saturdays and Sundays. Why do you choose weekends instead of weekdays? Most passengers who make use of MTR is office workers. So I think that you should offer the rebate on weekdays instead. I think that the way of the rebate calculation cannot fully reflect the service disruptions cost. What does disruption cost? It's the lower frequency of service disruptions or total suspension of service disruptions. I think that also we should multiply the period of disruptions with the number of passengers affected, because the disruptions can impact more people during peak hours. So I think that we should take into account also the number of passengers affected. Lastly, I'd like to meet with the MTRC. Well, 2 weeks ago, 9 unions asked the MTRC to talk about the GIC problem. The MTRC said that they will work with the unions and the members later on. However, they now are only talking to the LegCo members. It seems that they're not respecting the union. Mr. Lok, your third question has nothing to do with the item. Without a good employee-employer relationship, you cannot achieve much. So this has everything to do with the item. A brief response, please. Ms. Yang, please set up a date for a meeting with the unions. Thank you. We will continue to include the affordability cap in the calculation of adjustment rates rollover. We review the service performance rebate formula from time to time so that we can better reflect the disruptions caused to the passengers because of the delay. We adopt a multi-pronged approach in maintaining a service level. When there is disruptions, we will make sure that employees try to minimize the impact caused to the passengers. Ms. Yang, a simple response, please. Thank you. We outsource some of our work in order to meet the manpower shortage. As far as I understand, our colleagues is working with you on a date of meeting. Can you also meet with the unions? Please answer me right now. There's no point in meeting with me alone. I think that you should work things out after the meeting. I hope that the Ms. Yang will undertake that they will meet with the unions as well. I will talk to the colleagues after the meeting. You don't have to respond it here. Mr. Gary Zhang. Thank you, Chairman. I have 2 questions. First, the overall fare adjustment. When MTRC achieves high profits of, say, over $10 billion, I think that apart from regular concessions, the MTRC should offer other promotions. If you change the rate of adjustment, there will be long-term implications. I fully understand that. But when you have good profit in a particular year, you should offer a rebate to your passengers so that we can share the fruit of your success. Second, on Airport Express. Airport Express is to serve the airport. So I think that you should collaborate with the airport authority. I think that you should try to attract more types of passengers to use the Airport Express. The connection between the Kowloon Station and West Kowloon Station is to be strengthened. Ms. Yan said that they have put up more signage. I think that the problem is not with signage, but it's not really accessible. If you carry a large luggage, it's very difficult for you to go from the express rail stations to the Airport Express stations through the elements. You have to use many different escalators and use a small lift in order to reach the lobby of the Airport Express station. I think that the design of the road is flawed. I think that we should enhance the connection between the two stations. Ms. Mabel Chan, the secretary, have given you a suggestions. She asked you to work with the airport authority to make use of autonomous drivings to connect the two stations so that passengers going from the express rail link stations can reach the Airport Express more conveniently. Have you been talking to the airport authority on this? On the other side, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge, that's another opportunity. Airport Express, we have some 30,000 passengers. Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge, they have over 100,000 users. If you can attract 1/10 of these people to make use of Airport Express, that will significantly increase your passenger flow. The Hong Kong part of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge is managed by the airport authority. So I think that you should work with them so that we can drive the passengers of the bridge to the airport by making use of the Airport Express. Thank you.
楊女士，
Ms. Jenny Yang. Thank you, Mr. Gary Zhang, for your suggestion. Your suggestion about the Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge is very good. We will continue to work with the airport authority to provide better connections to express rail link passengers, as well as Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge passengers. I think, as you said, especially for those going from the express rail link station to the airport express service, we hope to have a better route, and we have a lift that is under construction, but it may take some time. We'll see what we can do in the interim. Also, whether they can do some one-time offers, they haven't answered that question of mine. We have from time to time different concessions. We will look into different options. Thank you. Dr. Chen Han-ban. Thank you. When we talked about fare adjustment mechanism on previous occasions, I have talked about linking that to the Hong Kong property development profit of the MTRC. This was taken on board. I also propose for the rolling over rate to be voided 2 years after, and this was not taken on board. But I would say this, for the rate to be rolled over in future, you would not be able to have it increase to over 3% because the affordability cap arrangement would essentially put a cap at around 3% I think this is pointless, keeping the rollover rate way above 3%. It does not really hurt the MTR anyway, because even if you keep rolling over the rate, you won't get to increase the fares, right? I think when we review the fare adjustment mechanism in the next few years, we should review this as well. on fare adjustment, especially for the Airport Express, we need to see how competitive the Airport Express is. And when we think about it, for taxis and buses, especially for taxis, they can provide point-to-point services. And for groups, the taxis or buses may actually be even more competitive in terms of prices. So with your proposal to increase Airport Express fares, would that hurt you in the end? Your passenger patronage is only 70% of your pre-pandemic level, and your loading right now is just 30 to 40%, so you have half of your capacity unused. While I do accept the figures you proposed, but I think you need to do something to increase the loading to a reasonable level. I proposed to the MTRC before that they should have some fare concessions. It's not about general concessions. We should have, say, return trip offers for groups, or say buy two get one free offers for, say, groups of 3. I think this will help increase your loading. So I want to ask what the MTRC thinks about these. Ms. Jenny Young, I agree with what was said by the member. I think it is important to increase our patronage of the Airport Express. We need to try to attract different groups, say visitors or regular users. We will actively look into different options. While you're actively looking into different options, you will soon increase fares. When will you provide a response? What will you do in future? Alright, let me supplement my answers. You said for group ticket offers, because we are freezing our fares, we will see the fares being more attractive in a way for users. As for other concessions, we will continue to look into different options. I think Ms. Yang said repeatedly they would review different factors. I hope that you will be able to derive some competitive proposals in future. Alright. Due to time constraints, we will not allow for a second round of questions from members. I will add the discussion of this item here. So representatives of the administration and the MTRC may leave the room. Moving on to the next agenda item, review of license fee for electric private cars, fixed penalties for traffic conventions, and parking meters charges. I will now ask staff members of the council to invite representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room. I will ask members to refer to the paper provided by the administration, LC paper number CB brackets 3542/2025 brackets 05. For reference, members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. Alright. Depending on the number of members who want to speak, I will assign a time limit later. Alright, welcome, representatives of the administration. From the Transport and Logistics Bureau, we have the Undersecretary for Transport Logistics and his team. We also have representatives from the police force as well as the transport department. The officers in attendance are set out in the agenda. I will not repeat them here. There are 10 members who have indicated their intention to speak. I will read out the order in which members are going to speak. Because there are 10 members who would like to speak, I will extend the meeting, by 15 minutes after 10:30. I will assign a 3-minute time limit. I believe there are more members who are going to press the request to speak button in due course. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Frankie Yik, Mr. Luke Chung Hong, Dr. Chen Hanpa, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Chao Su Chung, Mr. Michael Tian, Mr. Chen Pui Leung, Mr. Chen Hok Feng, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Yu Pat Leung, the Deputy Chairman, and Mr. Leung Man Kwong. Alright, assign a 3-minute time limit. As said, yes, the speaker's microphone is not on. There is no meeting afterwards to be held. Can you extend the meeting for another 15 minutes after 10:45 so you can assign a 4-minute time limit? Alright, so in that case, I guess we can see if there is a need for members to speak again at the 15-minute mark. At 10:45, if necessary, I'll extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. I'll make sure that members observe the time limit in that case. All right, Mr. Frankie Yik. Thank you. Last time we had a review of the charges, it was back in 2018. We have seen an increase in the number of parking spaces for private cars, but then for commercial vehicles, the ratio remains 1 to 0.6. It is not ideal. They have put in place different arrangements to increase the number of parking spaces for commercial vehicles, such as during nighttime. The trade has made a number of proposals, but the transport department never took them, so we have not seen the situation improve. We have now seen more temporary car parks, and there are some different spaces designated, and there are supposed to be some spaces specifically for large vehicles, but then the car park operators do not comply with this. They just try to have more spaces for smaller vehicles to increase their revenue. And the only punishment that they get would be warning letters. That is far from enough. And for traffic convention fixed penalties, for logistics drivers, they are often punished when they're just trying to go to the bathroom. I think what we can do is that for private cars and commercial vehicles, can we have different levels of fixed penalties? That is, you should freeze the fixed penalties for traffic contraventions of commercial vehicles. Can you also have designated loading and unloading areas for commercial vehicles in the busier areas? Because otherwise the trade will be very much dissatisfied. I also want to say this. For parking meter fees, the fees for commercial vehicles remain unchanged, but taxis can't park in those spaces, so taxis will still be affected by the increase in parking meter fees. How will the government deal with this? I also mentioned this multiple times before. I urge for school buses to be accommodated. We have 1,000 schools in Hong Kong, but only 40 schools are providing spaces for school buses to park. I think this is a win-win situation for all. We will have school bus drivers fine less. We will also provide convenience to students. Why are schools not willing to get on board with this? We only have 40 schools providing such spaces for school buses. Thank you. All right, I am asking Mr. Frankie Yik to start first because he is hosting another meeting later, so I'm giving him the chance to ask questions first. I think after that, the Undersecretary will give a presentation later. In his presentation, he will probably address some of the concerns of Mr. Frankie Yik. I believe the Undersecretary has prepared a PowerPoint presentation, right? The speaker's microphone is not on. Well, the details are of course set out in the paper, and your presentation is just on paper. I will just give you a short period of time for you to give an introduction, and then we'll go back to the Q&A session. Since you've already prepared for this, I think we shouldn't waste this. All right, let me give an introduction before we address Mr. Frankie Yick's questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, please be very succinct. I will spend only a few minutes on it. As mentioned in the budget, we are going to propose a review of the 3 fee penalty items. I will summarize them. First, we're going to rationalize the license fee structures and level for EPCs. The government have implement a number of measures to popularize the EVs, and we have achieved some significant results. In 2024, the percentage of EPCs among newly registered private cars amount to 71.1%. Currently, the license fees for EPCs are charged by vehicle unladen weight. With advancement of EV technologies, EV batteries are becoming lighter and smaller in size, and the performance of EVs with smaller or similar unladen weights continues to improve. Calculating license fees by unladen weight is no longer appropriate, and we may not fully reflect the value of the EPCs. Currently, the difference between the license fees for EPCs and the fuel-propelled fees is some 6 times, so we think that we need to adjust the license fee structure of EPCs, and we should charge the license based on the rated power, and that's similar to other countries in the world, and to incentivize people to change to using EPCs. Making reference to the fee structure of the fuel-propelled PCs, we propose to have a 5-tier license fee structures. The license fees of EPCs will be lower than that of fuel-propelled PCs. The adjustment may be made in 3 years. There are different brands, types of EVs on the market for people to choose. With lower energy expense, lower vehicle license fees, we think that there will be still incentives to encourage motorists to switch to EVs. Second, we're going to adjust the fixed penalties for traffic contraventions. Illegal parking and most of the traffic offenses were last adjusted 31 years ago, since 1994. And the inflation rate from 1994 is some 70%. The deterrent effect of the penalties is not high enough. The number of traffic accidents in the first quarter of this year, the number of fatal accidents and deaths recorded a significant rise of 40% as compared with the corresponding period of 2024. The fixed penalty levels of traffic conventions in Hong Kong are much lower than those of other countries. Take illegal parking as an example. The fine levels in Singapore, London, and New South Wales of Australia is 10 times more than Hong Kong's level. Please don't read out from your script, because what we're concerned are already set out in the paper. Please just highlight some of the main points. If you read out your script, then members don't have enough time to put questions. Please allow for some time for exchange. We propose for illegal parking, the penalty will be raised by 25%. For other traffic contraventions, there will be an increase of 50% in terms of penalty. We are going to also adjust the parking meters fees, as we have not adjusted it for a long time. The maximum fee is just $2 per 15 minutes. We propose to adjust the fee to $4 per 15 minutes to increase the turnover. Thank you very much. Please respond to Mr. Yick's question now. Mr. Yick have put a number of questions. A simple response, please. On whether we can devise a different penalty level for commercial vehicles and private cars. The policy intent of illegal parking penalty is to combat disruptions to road traffic and to ensure road safety. The illegal parkings of commercial vehicles and private cars cause the same problem, so we don't think that we should set different penalty levels for different types of vehicles. As to the proposal to increase the number of loading and unloading bay and to allow school service vehicles to park within school premises, we are working on them. We try to increase more and more parking spaces. I don't think that Mr. Yik is satisfied with your answer. Please work things out after the meeting among yourselves. Mr. Luk Chung Hong, point of order. We're talking about 3 major penalty and fee adjustment. Even if we postpone the meeting or by 15 minutes, there are still almost 10 members who are waiting to speak. I don't think that we can complete our speech within 3 minutes. I think that we should discuss it at other occasions, at another time. I said that I was going to postpone the meeting by 15 minutes. I can postpone it even longer. I know that this item is very important. You may have other meetings to attend to, but I hope that you will stay behind. I will allow each member to speak for 3 minutes first, so that administration has time to respond. If 15 minutes is not enough, I will ask members for your views again, if we should extend the meeting by another 15 minutes so that we can discuss this item in detail. Mr. Luk Chung Hong, your question, please. Thank you. First, the increase of fixed penalty notice charges. I know that the penalties has not been adjusted for some 30 years' time, but taxi drivers and commercial vehicle drivers are facing difficulties if they have to pay such a high fees just by leaving the car to buy a meal. Then that's not really fair for them. Taxis is not like other vehicles. They leave immediately after dropping off the passengers. If we have more loading and unloading or pick up a drop-off space for them, then that will make things easier for them. For license fee, for EPCs, now we have a 5-tier fee structure. For owners of EPCs, they may be facing financial pressure because of that. Will you allow the existing EPCs owners to have their licenses calculated based on their unladen weight? You said that the license fees of EPCs is 70% of that of the fuel-propelled PCs. As the fuel-propelled PCs have downsized, that's because of their smaller cylinder capacity now. That's why most of the fuel-propelled PCs fall within the Tier 1, Tier 2 fee structure. Can you compare the license fees for fuel-propelled PC and EPC? Because some EPCs fall within the 3rd tier, but there are not that many fuel-propelled PC that fall within the same tier. I wonder if the administration have considered if this will impact the popularization of EPCs or EVs. Some residential estates hope that the government will relax the restrictions on, say, charging easy scheme. Thank you. I will ask the TD to give you some numbers. Mr. Hong asked if we should allow existing EPCs owners to have their license fee calculated based on the unladen weight. of their vehicles. That has to do with the calculation of license fees. The formula may be adjusted in the future. After the formula is adjusted, all vehicles, whether they are newly purchased or existing, should be subject to the same calculation. The TD has been working on increasing the number of drop-off and pickups spots for coaches and taxis. I will ask the Transport Department to talk about the comparison of license fees among EPCs and fuel-propelled PCs. Thank you. If you look at the license fees of EPCs, the average license fee per year is about $1,000. Years later, upon implementation of the new license fee structure, the license fee for EPCs will be around $3,500 on average. For fuel-propelled PCs, that will be $7,500. Next, Mr. Chan Han Pan. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about the adjustment to the fixed penalty for traffic contraventions. I know that you have not adjusted the penalty for a long time, and the fee is too low to be deterrent. I wonder if the administration will offer a roadmap on the increase of parking spaces. We have seen fewer and fewer commercial vehicle parking spaces. I think that's not fair to the logistics industry. Can you let us know when and where you're going to set up parking spaces for commercial vehicles? You may give me a written reply if you cannot answer my question right now. Second, on the license fee structure for EPCs. The life cycle of EPCs is short and the technology advances very quickly. Now, the license fee will be calculated on the basis of rated power for EPCs. In the future, the rated power of EPCs may increase in the future because of technological advancement. Will the government review the structure from time to time? Thank you. 2 questions. Undersecretary. In recent years, we have been working on increasing the number of parking spaces for commercial vehicles. We have set out our short-term and medium to long-term measures to increase the supply of parking spaces. As to whether we can formulate a roadmap, well, we already have the measures set out. As for the timetable, it depends on the actual circumstances. It's difficult for us to identify a large number of parking spaces for commercial vehicles in the urban area. We know that technology advances. The license fee structure for EPCs will not remain unchanged indefinitely. When necessary, we will review the structure. Chairman, the Undersecretary said that it's difficult for them to increase the number of parking spaces for commercial vehicles. This is equivalent to telling the logistics industries that they have to shoulder or bear a larger cost of operation. I think that the government should be innovative. For example, at quieter places, the government should allow commercial vehicles to park there for certain hours at nighttime. The government should give us a concrete plan on how they're going to increase the number of parking spaces. Thank you. Undersecretary, I know that it's difficult for to increase the number of spaces. We have to work on it. I can give you some numbers. Please turn on Mr. Mack's microphone. Thank you, Chairman. In recent years, we've been working to increase the number of parking spaces for commercial vehicles. Let me give you some examples. For nighttime commercial vehicle parking space, we have some 2,000 of them. For restricted zones, some members have mentioned them. Let me give you some examples. At Nathan's Road and King's Road, at some lanes, we have set up some parking spaces at restricted zones. If you don't have any concrete figures, or if you are just giving some examples here and there, that's not the roadmap that we are asking for. Can you give us a more detailed plan? Thank you.
All
right. Next to speak, Dr. Lo Kwok. Thank you. Today we discuss various topics for these items. For the review of license fee for electric private cars, I think it's fair to calculate that based on the rated power, and in the end the license fees would still be 70% of those for fuel propelled private cars. So I think this is appreciated. I think there is something that is unreasonable about a fixed penalty for private contraventions. However, I think with vehicles running a red light, you should face more serious fines, right? But now pedestrians actually face higher penalties for doing the same thing, for crossing on a red light. I think we need to increase parking meter fees, but the underlying problem has not been resolved. We have a private car parking space ratio of 1 to 1.14. For motorcycles, every 2 motorcycles would have 1 parking space. For commercial vehicles, every 3 commercial vehicles would only have 2 parking spaces. You know, there are some people, private car owners, they would just park their cars and then travel on public transport, but commercial vehicle owners or drivers cannot do the same. The transport department is not doing enough to resolve this problem about parking spaces for commercial vehicles. There is no way but for 1/3 of the commercial vehicles breaking the law and parking illegally. And in fact, someone in Kowloon East was fined at 11:56 p.m. for parking illegally, but there is just simply no parking space for them. And for, say, Kowloon City, before, when the area was not as popular, commercial vehicles would just have their cars parked outside their shops at night time. Last time I went there, a vehicle outside a store was fined twice on that very same day. I think it is not ideal that commercial vehicles can't help but face such penalties. And I'm sorry I've gone past the time limit, but I have just too many grievances to air. Thank you. Thank you. Undersecretary, please respond to Dr. Lo's grievances. Thank you, Chair. I think the police adopt a particular approach when dealing with fixed penalties for commercial vehicles. I'll let the representative from the police answer that question. Mr. Leung, right? Yes, thank you, Chair. We do understand that there are immense challenges during the pandemic, and now we still face some uncertainties in the economy. For commercial vehicle drivers and owners, they are in a difficult position. For the police, we have reference to the selected traffic enforcement priorities as well as try to be reasonable while being compassionate in issuing fixed penalty tickets. Let me give you some figures. In 2022, we have issued 3.36 million fixed penalty tickets in 2024. In 2024, it's just 2.54 million tickets. It is a 25% decrease. And in fact, this has tied in with complaint figures. We have recorded a 50% decrease in the number of complaints. Chair, I think the figures mean nothing. You're just telling me you have issued less tickets. Can you give me concrete examples? Say for red minibuses, I have observed them. They have been fined in not so busy areas during night time. As I said earlier, the parking space ratio for commercial vehicles make for 1/3 of the commercial vehicles would be parking illegally during nighttime anyway. Well, I think this is crux of the issue. I think there has to be an overall strategy or a roadmap for resolving this problem for commercial vehicles. You need to show determination and planning. Because basically, right now you're just forcing these commercial vehicle owners and drivers to face the penalties due to the lack of parking spaces. I think you should provide a written response after the meeting to allay the concerns of the public. Thank you, Chair. We do note your comments. Thank you, Mr. Chao Shu-chung. Thank you. Due to time constraints, I will only talk about 2 issues. For fixed penalties for traffic contraventions, I agree with other members. There are professional drivers who are faced with difficulties. They are just trying to buy something to eat or just go to the bathroom, and then when they get back, they will see that they've gotten a ticket. It is, of course, not ideal. The root issue is that there is inadequate parking spaces, and when people do not have a space to park in, they will have to be fined. But let me share with you some figures from 2023 until now for commercial vehicles. The parking space ratio has now ranged from 1 to 0.63 to 0.67, and now it is more or less maintained at a level of 0.66. So as Dr. Lo Wai Kwok said, we do not have enough parking spaces for commercial vehicles. I think the fixed penalties for traffic contraventions being increased, this is justified, but then the increase is quite significant. There's going to be an impact on professional drivers. Also, for the license fee for electric private cars, the increase is quite significant as well. Will that dampen people's incentive to switch to electric cars? Should we, instead of adopting a 3-year period for the increase, why not drag it out even further so that it would be 10 years, so we can continue to have an incentive for drivers to switch to electric cars. Alright, before I ask the administration to answer, we still have 6 members who would like to speak. I will consult members on this. Should we extend the meeting for another 15 minutes? There's no objection from members, right? Alright, Undersecretary, please. We do note Mr. Chao Su-chung's comments. We will review the suggestions. As for illegal parking of commercial vehicles, we have heard other members voice their concern. As the chairman said, we will review this in future. Well, since the administration is not going to give a response, I will talk more about the issue. Before, at Public Works Subcommittee meetings, we have seen in different projects, if they are getting rid of parking spaces in a particular project, they will find replacement spaces in the area. Why are they not doing this now? We have had inadequate parking spaces for many years now. This problem. Why not do something about this? I think, as the member said, we have voiced this concern for many years. If you can't show determination that you will resolve this problem, members can't help but repeat their comments on this because this is what citizens are concerned about. I think you really need to think about what to do about this. I think, as the chairman said before, and as I said before, we will provide a response after the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Michael Tian. As I said earlier, I thought 4 minutes wouldn't be enough, and everyone has now gone to 5 to 6 minutes. But I digress. For the round table, we do not have any problem with the tiering of the license fee for electric private cars, but then we have a problem with the charges. For 2028 first year, they would have a license fee of $3,000, and for other tiers, we have as high as $11,000, having increased from $1,000. For the round table, we would say this. We have tiers in many different places, so we agree with this approach, but then the charges are exorbitant. Say, for the 5th tier, it has a higher horsepower, so you have at one point it would be $3,200. Why don't you just increase it to $3,800? Why do you have to put in place such significant increases in license fees? And I have actually received some feedback. Some have said that they purchased electric vehicles because the license fees were lesser, and there are going to be policy support such as the putting in place of charging posts and whatnot. But now they think that they are trapped and they are faced with high license fees in future. I think this will make people not trust in you in future. When you're trying to provide policy support to encourage people to do something, in the end you're just going to trap them like this. It is not ideal. I think for the round table, again, what we can do is that for parking meter charges, we should have from the increase from $2 to $3 in the first hour, and then in the second hour you can increase it to 5 hours. You're basically trying to encourage people to drive away. I think right now your proposals are not ideal. On fixed penalties, let me be very brief about this because many members have talked about this. I will not go into detail here. I think right now there are spaces that do not have parking meters, but because there are no parking meters, people can't park there. Why not do something about this? Why not just install parking meters so that people can park there? Otherwise, it's just a waste of space. All right, I think you can just answer 1 or 2 questions due to time constraints. Undersecretary, please.
Some are suggestions and comments. We note them. We'll consider them after the meeting. On popularizing the EPCs, will that be affected by increasing the license fees? Well, actually, the license fees for EPCs, even after adjustment, will be 7% of that of fuel-propelled PCs. The energy expense is also lower for EPCs. There are more brands, more types. The prices are very attractive. So we think that despite the increase in the license fees for EPCs, motorists will still be very much incentivized to switch to EVs. The remainders are comments. We'll consider them. Chairman, still within the 4 minutes limit, will you consider exclusions? I've already answered it, and other members have put the same question. We charge license fees every year. When there's adjustment to the fee structure, we apply the same formula on all vehicles, regardless of whether they're newly purchased or existing ones. What about metered parking spaces? Time's up. Thank you, Mr. Tian. Next, Mr. Chan Pui-lan. Everyone is concerned about increase of metered parking spaces. Please let him respond to that. We accept the suggestion. We'll consider it. Thank you. Mr. Chan Pui-lan. Thank you, Chairman. I have 2 simple questions. First, we have restricted zones and our roads, and we don't have that many parking spaces. The increase in fixed penalty notice charges will pose a burden on drivers. Can the administration be more clear about their discretionary power so that frontline officers will have clearer guidelines for vehicles that are not obstructing the traffic that significantly, for vehicles that need to drop off or pick up elderly? Should the enforcement officers exercise that discretionary power to not issue, say, fixed penalty notices? Now we have a remote metered parking spaces charging service, and see that there are some 2-hour metered parking spaces on the road. I think that in order to increase the turnover of parking spaces, we should turn the 2-hour metered parking spaces to 1 hour once. Because with the remote payment service, drivers can extend the parking period to 2 hours on their mobile phone still. Thank you. The police have explained about their discretionary power. The enforcement officers can exercise them. And they do have guidelines to make sure that vehicles will not pose danger to road users and to minimize disruptions. We have parking meters with different time periods. We'll look into whether we will shorten the time for some parking meters from 2 hours to 1 hour. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chan Hock-Fong. Members are confused about many policies. There is a cancellation of the 2,500 student grant, and the government said that they're going to increase the newborn baby bonus to $3,000. Now the government is trying to encourage people to switch to EV while increasing the license fees for EPCs. So I think that the government departments and bureaus should review their policies holistically so that people know what the government is doing. You said that the license fees of EVs is still competitive because that's still lower than fuel-propelled vehicles. But actually, the insurance premiums for EPCs is much higher than that of the fuel-propelled PCs. If you increase the license fees for EPCs, the cost of owning it is high. The energy expense may be lower, but EPC owners have to drive their vehicles into some malls to charge their vehicles. EPC's owners and drivers have to pay the parking fees for parking lots in order to enter it to charge their vehicles. The calculations of license fees is based on rated power. However, the license fees for fuel-propelled vehicles is based on output. There's not much pollution from EVs. Why do you base the calculation of license fees on rated power? Why don't you use, say, the price of the vehicles as the basis? That's easier to understand. I don't really get it. I think that the rate of increase is too much. Another question on parking meter. We don't have enough parking spaces. And many metered parking spaces are illegally occupied. You can use your own TD mobile application. Many street side metered parking spaces are vacant, but when you go there, you cannot use it. Especially those in front of shops. They are mostly occupied. By increasing the metered parking fees, the problem will not be solved. There's still insufficient supply. Please don't say that we support the proposal. At the end of the meeting, no one supports it. Undersecretary. Thank you. On the point about rated power, that's the same idea with how we calculate the license fees for fuel-propelled vehicles. That's calculated in terms of CC. For vehicles with higher rated powers, the price will be higher. Second, is it still attractive for people to switch to EVs? We have to look at everything: insurance premium, license fees, daily operating costs, energy expenses. But we think that overall speaking, EVs is still attractive. Illegal occupation of metered parking spaces, we have to step up enforcement. The police, contractors of parking meters will conduct patrol as well. Traffic wardens also patrol these metered parking spaces to combat illegal occupation. Next, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you. 2 questions. Many members talked about insufficient supply of parking spaces and the fixed penalties for traffic contraventions. I think that this has to do with your misguided policy. On the one hand, you have not controlled the growth of vehicle in Hong Kong, and on the other hand, you have been suppressing the construction of parking spaces for quite a period of time. I know that it's difficult for you to increase the number of parking spaces. But I think that you should give us a blueprint. If you don't have a blueprint, we wouldn't be able to solve the problem. I hope that you will give us a very clear policy. You either suppress the growth of vehicles or increase the number of parking spaces substantially. But how do you do that in urban area? I don't see a solution. You need to have a clear policy. Second, I agree with some of the members. For traffic contraventions that endanger road users, the penalties is not deterrent enough. There are more and more drivers running red lights. Why do you adjust the penalty level so mildly? The Undersecretary just now talked about the number of fatal accidents and deaths, and that's on the rise. Why don't you increase the penalty level substantially to send a clear message to the people? Undersecretary. Thank you. Many members ask about the supply of parking spaces. As mentioned, we will give members a written reply after the meeting. On other traffic contraventions, is there room for us to further increase the penalty level? The proposed rate of increase is already 50%. That's not insignificant. Should we increase the penalty for individual offenses? We will think about that. There are still 2 members who would like to put questions. I propose to extend the meeting further until the 2 members have spoken. I will give a short conclusion later on. Mr. Yu Pak-lan, Deputy Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. I know that we have limited time left. I will be brief. I'm concerned about the insufficient parking spaces for commercial vehicles that trouble the tourism industry. Coaches have been facing this problem. We are trying to develop this idea of tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong. We need to improve tourist experience. We have to have legal pick-up and drop-off spaces at tourism spots. I know that we have to also have regards to the traffic flow at the particular district, but I think that the administration should work on increasing the number of pick-up and drop-off spots to meet the development needs of the tourism industries and the demand of the tourists. Many coaches have nowhere to pick up and drop off their passengers. Now, the administration is proposing to increase the fixed penalties, and thus pose an even heavier burden on the trade. It's not easy for the industry to hire coach drivers now. So that's my request. I hope that you will increase the number of pick-up and drop-off spots. On the adjustment to the license fee structure for EPCs, I support the direction. That is, calculating the license fees based on the rated power of a vehicle. As Mr. Andrew Lam said, how do you strike a balance between the growth of vehicles and people switching to EVs from traditional fuel-propelled vehicles? Thank you. Regarding the second question, as I mentioned, we take into account the overall expenses to be borne by the drivers to see if EPCs is still attractive. The price of EVs, the daily maintenance and energy expenditure, insurance premium of EV owners is still low, so we think that EVs is still attractive. As for insufficient parking spaces and pickup drop-off spots for commercial vehicles, we agree that is not enough. We will increase the number of it. Where appropriate, we will try to put in place parking spaces for commercial vehicles. Please give us any suggestions, Mr. Yu. Thank you.
下一位請梁
All right, next to speak, Mr. Lam Kwang. Thank you, Chair. On review of license fee for electric private cars, I agree that we should take the approach of basing the license fee structure on rated power because it has something to do with the horsepower and it is a better basis for calculation. But as other members said, many of the EV owners were entitled to concessions. While you do try to put in place a 3-year phase implementation period for people to be easing into the adjustment, but I'm asking, since vehicles would have to be inspected, say after 6 years for renewal, and then you can charge higher fees for the license in future, I think it would be easier for people to swallow. Is this an approach that you can take to ease people into the new license fees? For parking meter fees, as said by some members, there are at times long-term occupation of parking meter spaces, and some would take much to drive them away, but that wouldn't be the end either. There are, say, garages or stores that occupy the spaces before their premises for the long term, and that has exacerbated the shortage in parking meter spaces. Apart from putting in place CCTV cameras, I understand that police have been working with the transport department to take enforcement action if necessary for vehicles occupying metered parking spaces without paying. In fact, I have seen vehicles, say taxis, for the long term taking up the bus station space in front of exit A of Nam Trang Station. And we have even seen in another spot a similar thing happening, and taxis would go as extreme as traveling in a reverse direction to do this. How can we take better enforcement action to prevent this from happening again? Undersecretary, both of these questions are related to enforcement. I'll ask the representative of the police force to answer the questions. Thank you, Chair. We are making use of innovative technologies. We're making use of the Transport Department's CCTV system to take enforcement action in 4 different locations. We also want to encourage drivers to have a good driving attitude. We have hung banners in these locations. We have also done much in public education to remind road users that they are to comply with road rules. And for metered parking spaces usage, for frontline police officers or traffic wardens, if they identify any contraventions, they will issue fixed penalty tickets. Last year, we have 250,000 tickets on illegal occupation of meter parking spaces that is beyond the hours allocated to them with their paid parking meter charges. As for the remaining question, I do note the members' comments and we will review the relevant feedback. Alright, all members have spoken. Let me give a summary here. I note that in principle, members support the direction, especially when the charges have not been adjusted for many years. There is a need for adjustment, but there is strong concern on the part of members that there are not enough parking spaces, especially for commercial vehicles. Since you're increasing the fixed penalties for illegal parking, the increases are relatively mild. But if you are taking enforcement action, the commercial vehicle owners and drivers can't help but bear the cost because of the lack of parking spaces. While you're reviewing the license fees and fixed penalties and parking meter fees, you need to show people you are determined to make change and you have a clear plan to do something about the lack of parking spaces short, mid, and long term. While you try to strive for our support in increasing the fixed penalties for traffic contraventions, you need to show us that you plan to do something to improve the situation for the shortage of parking spaces. And on the issue of review of license fee for electric private cars, I know that most members, from what they said, support this, but some have raised concern that whether we can have different approaches in the increase in license fees. And the Undersecretary said he would review the suggestions, and many members have offered quite good suggestions. Perhaps the administration can adjust their approach. On enforcement action, the representative from the police did provide some details, but if you can provide a written response on what kind of discretion you would exercise, that would be ideal, because I think we are worried about at some point in time it may be the case that those who should be fined are not fined, while those who shouldn't be fined are fined instead. I think, of course, when the areas are prone to illegal parking, then you should take more enforcement action. With the less busy areas, we can perhaps take a laxer stance. I think members generally support the adjustment of the fee and penalty levels. You just need to make sure you can satisfy us in your long-term plans and improvement of certain issues. Can the administration provide a written response? I think the chairman, especially with what you suggested just now, how the police will exercise discretion, I think we can include this content in the written response. I actually think this, Chair, since many of us asked about nighttime parking spaces for commercial vehicles, can they also provide information in the written response during nighttime, the usage of parking spaces? Sure. I understand that the administration said they have been gradually trying to increase the number of parking spaces. I think they can provide a comprehensive analysis for members' reference in the written response. And there were some members who raised concern, say, for minibuses parking at minibus stops. It does not really cause any disruption in traffic, yet they are still fined. In fact, we have heard time and again when this happened, the public thought that this may be over enforcement. Mr. Leung, you would like to say something? Yes. Thank you. We understand that many members raised concern on enforcement action taken against commercial vehicles. Let me provide you with some information. At the end of last year, we have 900,000 vehicle registrations for commercial vehicles. That is for lorries, taxis, and minibuses. There are approximately 140,000 of them, 15 to 16% roughly. And we have in 2024 accidents involving 86 vehicles where there were injuries or fatalities, and many of these accidents were actually related to commercial vehicles. And whether the vehicles were being driven or when they were parking, they caused roughly the same level of hazard because commercial vehicles are larger in size. If they are parked illegally in curved sections, they can really block the line of sight of pedestrians, and it has caused a hazard. I think we can't take an across-the-board approach. In last year's accidents, and half of the fatalities were pedestrians, 42, and 26 of them were age 65 or above. So for commercial vehicles, we are not targeting things specifically. We are adopting a risk-based approach. And when people got there, the officers got there, they would note various things, whether the sections were curved sections, whether there were residences nearby. We hope that with the figures we shared, people would understand that this is a situation. But I would say this: we have a record low in the number of fatalities relating to traffic accidents in the past few years, and we have improve the situation much with enforcement actions. Thank you. We do understand when vehicles disrupt traffic, then you can take enforcement action or even charge them with high fines. But for vehicles that are parked during night time that do not disrupt traffic in any way, in the less busy areas, this has really caused concern among commercial vehicle owners because the root cause for this issue is that there are not enough parking spaces for commercial vehicles. I asked the Undersecretary, as I did before, to provide a written response after the meeting, so that you can tell us specifically how you're going to address the problem of not having enough parking spaces. Alright, this is the end of the discussion for the 5th agenda item. Before we go into the 6th agenda item, I would like to thank representatives of the administration for attending the meeting. The 6th agenda item is any other business. I have no other business to propose. If members do not wish to propose any other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.